Today we're diving into one of the craziest stories in football. You've heard of André Villas-Boas, right? The once tactical genius who's coached teams like Porto, Chelsea, Tottenham, and Marseille. But did you know that before all the fame, this guy had a super random coaching gig in the British Virgin Islands? Yeah, it's true. Villas-Boas was managing a tiny Caribbean national team before he became Mourinho's right-hand man. Let's unpack this wild journey. Okay, let's rewind a bit. Back in the late 1990s, André Villas-Boas was just 21 years old, a football-obsessed kid from Portugal. But what most people don't know is that he got his first real coaching job on these tiny islands in the Caribbean, the BVI. Now, how does someone go from Porto to the BVI? Let's break it down. Villas-Boas had always been a football brainiac. This guy wasn't even interested in playing the game. He was obsessed with managing it. He spent his teenage years analyzing matches and studying tactics like a football scientist. He even lived in the same building as Sir Bobby Robson, who was managing Porto at the time. And guess what? Villas-Boas had the guts to slip a letter under Robson's door, criticizing one of his squad selections. Bold move, right? Robson was so impressed by the young Villas-Boas and his football knowledge that he invited him to observe Porto training sessions. That's when Robson realized this kid had serious potential, and that's how, at just 17 years old, Villas-Boas started working with Porto's youth setup. But how does this connect to the Caribbean? Now, here's where the things get crazy. In 1998, Villas-Boas was put in charge of the British Virgin Islands national team. Yes, you heard that right. A 21-year-old Portuguese guy coaching a tiny island in the Caribbean. The British Virgin Islands were ranked among the lowest footballing nations in the world at the time, but Villas-Boas took the job like it was the Champions League final. Now, it wasn't exactly prime facilities or anything glamorous. The team played on pitches that were far from European standards, but Villas-Boas jumped right in, teaching tactics, improving fitness, and trying to bring some structure to the squad. The BVI national team didn't see any major victories, but Villas-Boas was getting hands-on experience that would shape his entire career. Villas-Boas himself has said that this stint taught him a lot about managing people, especially in challenging environments. It was a crash course in problem solving, leadership, and adapting to whatever was thrown at him. Plus, can you imagine the culture shock? A Portuguese football nerd managing a tropical island team with almost no resources. That's a wild start to any career. After his short but eye-opening stint in the Caribbean, Villas-Boas returned to Portugal with some valuable experience under his belt. That's when he started working under none other than José Mourinho. Villas-Boas was Mourinho's assistant at Porto, where they won the UEFA Cup and the Champions League. This partnership took him from the beaches of the Virgin Islands to the biggest stage in European football. From island manager to tactical mastermind, under one of the greatest managers of all time. Villas-Boas played a crucial role in analyzing opponents and developing game plans for Mourinho's Porto team. He was nicknamed the Boy Scout because of how detailed and meticulous he was with his reports. After years of learning from Mourinho, Villas-Boas stepped out on his own. He became one of Europe's hottest young managers, winning the Europa League with Porto before taking on the challenge of managing Chelsea and Tottenham. But no matter how far he's come, his story will always have that early chapter in the British Virgin Islands. It's crazy to think that one of football's sharpest minds started off at a tiny island in the Caribbean. It just goes to show, you never know where your career will take you. What started as a quirky detour became the foundation of one of football's most interesting managerial journeys. So what do you think? Could you imagine André Villas-Boas coaching a tiny national team on a tropical island? And what if he never got that chance? Would he still have gone on to become one of the biggest names in football for a time? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more wild stories like this one. See you next time for more football madness, and remember, football is everywhere.